for the fantasy baseball season. And here's a few pitchers I looked at this week. The first guy, Mike Lorenzo, the Los Angeles Angels. So Lorenzo, he switched between being a hitter and a pitcher over the last few seasons, but now he's back as a pitcher, and he's been playing good baseball. He is Lorenzo so far with the Angels on the season. 23 2/3, 3-1 record on the season here for Lorenzo. 18 hits, 5 earned runs, 14 Ks, and 3 quality starts here on the Lorenzo with a 3.14 ERA and a 0.98 whip. So he's gone out there and he's pitched great baseball, and he's pitched pretty deep into games, surprisingly, as well. This guy was more of a reliever than a starter. So the last 2 outings here for Lorenzo, April 25th versus the Guardians, 6 innings, got the win. 3 hits, 4 walks, 3 Ks, and a quality start. And then last night, May 1st at the White Sox, 8 1/3, he almost went the distance, got the win in that one. 9 hits, though, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 2 Ks, and the quality start. So right now he's pitching good. And this Angel team as a pitching staff's been pretty decent with the additions they made in the offseason. Obviously, Lorenzo, Noah Syndergaard's been pretty good. And this guy's a big pickup, no doubt about it. Added in 14% of fantasy leagues coming into the week. But now he's still available in 71% of leagues, and he's one of the top pitchers so far in fantasy baseball. And you go out there and get him. I know, obviously, this could be beginner's luck of the season here for Lorenzo, but he's still pitching good, and he's a guy to go out there and get this week. The next guy, Daniel Lynch of the Kansas City Royals. So I know Lynch, he didn't have a great start versus the New York Yankees, but on the season he's been pretty decent. Is Lynch overall on the year? 21 innings pitched, 1 record on the season here for Lynch. 19 hits, 9 earned runs, walks, 20 strikeouts, and a quality start under his belt. So Lynch, he's been pretty decent, like I mentioned. I know it was a tough outing versus a good Yankee team in yesterday's ball game, but he's definitely a guy that's gone out there and he's competed for this Royal team, and it's been pretty decent for fantasy owners. He was added in 11% of fantasy leagues, but right now he's still available in 87% of leagues. The last few games here for Lynch, April 20th versus Minnesota, 5 innings, got the win in that one. 4 hits, 1 walk, 2 Ks. April 26th at the White Sox, 6 innings, got the win. 2 hits, 2 walks, 7 Ks, a quality start. And then versus the Yankees, 5 innings, no decision. 4 hits, 3 runs, a walk, and 4 Ks. So he's going out there. He's throwing strikes. He's going 5-6 innings, and he's giving the Kansas City Royals a chance. And he's a decent guy to have at the back end of your roster or as a starter on your team. So right here, I would give Lynch a shot even after coming off a pretty bad ball game versus the Yankees. The next guy's Anthony Bender of the Miami Marlins. So right here, Bender, he's been the closer so far this season for this Marlin team. And he's put up some decent stats on the year. 8 1/3, 2-1 record, 6 saves, 9 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 6 Ks, and 1 blown save so far. I know the ERA isn't great, 4.32, and a 1.32 whip, but right here available in 55% of fantasy leagues. And if you need a closer here, he could go out there and he's getting saves. This Marlin team's playing pretty good baseball early on in the season here with 4 games over 500 for them. So if you need some cheap saves and a guy who so far is getting the opportunity and been pretty decent getting the job done, Bender is a good add this week, in my opinion, for the closer role. And a guy to go out there and get. The next guy is James Caprio of the Oakland Athletics. So he made his season debut after coming off injury. And last season he was pretty good, was Caprio. But now, so far in his first outing of the season, he only went 2 innings, and he got hit in that one, got the loss. 3 hits, 4 earned runs, 4 walks, and 2 Ks. So it's definitely a control issue here for Caprio. But right now he's available in 86% of fantasy leagues. Last season he was pretty decent with an 8-5 record, was Caprio for this Oakland A team. And I know this A team isn't good. I know they're not going to go anywhere this season after blowing up the roster and trading all the good players away in the offseason. But this guy definitely has potential. And like I mentioned, last season he was pretty good for most of the way until he hit a wall a little bit, was Caprio. But I think he'll be fine. And he's a guy we'll go out there and get. The next guy is Josiah Gray of the Washington Nationals. I've been mentioning Gray now for 3 weeks here on this ad list, but for some reason he's still available in a whopping 47% of fantasy leagues. And this guy, he just goes out there, good pitcher, no doubt about it, is Josiah Gray. So on the season here for Gray, 20 innings, 3-2 record, 14 walks, 9 earned runs, 31 strikeouts, and a quality start on the season with a 3.75 ERA and a 1.25 whip. So he's going out there. He's pitching good. I know this national team's another team that's not going to be good. But Gray, the top prospect last season in the Dodgers system before they traded him, a part of that Trey Turner and Max Scherzer deal at the Major League Baseball deadline. So the last few games here for Gray, April 19th versus Arizona, 5 1/3, got the win in that one. 3 hits and earned run, 2 walks, 8 Ks. April 26th versus the Marlins, it was a down game for him. 5 2/3, got the loss. 7 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 walks, but 10 Ks. And then in yesterday's game at the Giants, 6 innings, got the win. No runs, only 1 hit, 4 walks, 3 Ks. So the only problem here with Gray is he's not going deep into games, and he's walking a lot of batters. But that's what you expect from a righty, a young righty like Gray, who's technically still in his rookie season after having a cup of coffee last season with the Dodgers and the Nationals towards the end of the season. So right here, he throws gas. He's a guy that's going to give you strikeouts. He's going to give you a chance to win for this national team. And right now, he's pretty much like the ace of this pitching staff is the young Gray. So right now, go out there and get him. And it's still surprising to me that he's available in 47% of fantasy leagues. The next guy's Chris Paddock of the Minnesota Twins. So Paddock traded right before the season to the Twins, and so far he's looked pretty decent in my opinion. Is Paddock 14 2/3, 2-1 record, 16 hits, 6 earned runs, a walk, 13 strikeouts, a 3.68 ERA, and a 1.16 whip. So right here he's going out there and he's looked pretty decent. Is Paddock, like I mentioned, a little bit like he did a few seasons ago when he was pitching good. So the last few outings here for Paddock, April 13th versus the Dodgers, 4 innings, got the loss, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 Ks. April 20th at Kansas City, 5 innings, got the loss, 5 hits, 2 runs, 4 Ks. And April 26th versus Detroit, 5 2/3, 5 hits, an earned run, a walk, and 6 strikeouts in that one. So Paddock, another guy not going deep into games, but he's going out there and he's pitching pretty competitive baseball, and a guy still with huge upside, in my opinion, because I don't think his rookie year was a total fluke for Paddock. So right now he's available in 68% of fantasy leagues, and if you need a back-end starter for your fantasy roster, I think he's a pretty good pickup this week. The next guy's Blackburn of the Oakland Athletics. So Blackburn, he's come out of nowhere this season here as a mainstay and a good starting pitcher for this A team, and a guy who's getting an opportunity, obviously, with them trading Bassett and Sean Manaea in the offseason here, is the Oakland Ace. On the season here for Paul Blackburn, 20 innings, 3-0 record, 14 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, and 18 strikeouts. So he's gone out there. I know he's only pitched 5 innings, but he's pitching good baseball. I know he's a soft-tossing righty, but this guy's definitely good for fantasy owners and a guy who could go out there and help your fantasy team. And right now, he's been added in 18% of fantasy leagues over the last week, but still available in 52% of leagues. So the last few games here for Blackburn, April 16th at Toronto, 5 innings, no decision, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 Ks. April 21st versus Baltimore, 5 innings, got the win, 3 hits, an earned run, 4 Ks. And April 27th at Frisco, 5 innings, got the win, 3 hits, a walk, and 4 Ks. So right here, he's a 5-inning pitcher, no doubt about it. And that's going to be tough to get a lot of decisions if you're only going to go 5 innings in these ball games here, but he's still a guy that's going out there competing and one of the better pitchers right now in fantasy baseball. So yeah, he definitely could hit a wall, and yeah, the wins could definitely not happen with him only going 5 innings. But I still will go out there and get Blackburn this week as one of the top pitching pickups. Next guy is Chad Kuhl of the Colorado Rockies. So Kuhl, he's been a very surprising pitcher this season, especially a guy who's got to pitch at Coors Field most of the season here. On the season, though, 23 2/3, 3-0 record, 13 hits, 5 earned runs, 7 walks, 17 strikeouts, 3 quality starts, a 1.90 ERA, and a 0.85 whip. So obviously, I don't see this holding up for Kuhl, but it's something that you can't obviously not pay attention to a guy like this getting off to a good start, and especially at the pitching spot where it's been pretty weak so far in the early going. So the last couple outings here for Kuhl, April 24th at Detroit, 6 innings, got the win, 4 hits, an earned run, 2 walks, 4 Ks, a quality start. And April 30th versus the Reds, 7 1/3, got the win in that ball game. 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 4 Ks. I know he plays in a tough division with the Dodgers, Padres, and Giants, But this is a guy going out there. He's pitching good baseball. And if you could get him on your team, you just ride him out until the struggles hit. And he's not that good anymore. So right now, cool, he's available, surprisingly still, in 59% of fantasy leagues. And I definitely would go out there and get him this week. The next guy I would look to get is Dakota Hudson of the St. Louis Cardinals. So Dakota Hudson, the last few outings, he's pitched great baseball. And he's another guy available widely in 83% of fantasy leagues. On the season here for Hudson, 19 2/3, 2-1 record, 11 hits, 6 earned runs, 9 walks, 14 Ks, and 2 quality starts. I know his quality starts have come versus bad hitting teams, but hey, he's gone out there and pitched good in his last few outings. April 17th on Milwaukee was a bad one for him, 3 innings only. Got the loss in that one, 3 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 2 Ks. April 23rd at Cincinnati, 6 2/3, got the win, 2 hits, 4 walks, 4 Ks, a quality start. April 28th, another good ball game, 6 innings, got the win. 1 hit only, no runs, 3 walks, 4 Ks, and a quality start. So this Cardinal team, they're definitely going to compete this season. And Hudson here, he's made some adjustments over the last few outings, and he's looked pretty good. So he's definitely a guy I would go out there and get on my fantasy team as a good guy to be at the back end, obviously, of your rotation, and who could definitely help your fantasy team. And he also has a 2.75 ERA and a 1.02 whip on the season. And a pitcher I've looked at this week here is Taijan Walker. The New York Mets. Taijan Walker, he missed a few starts where he was on the injured list with a knee injury, but he's looked pretty good so far in a small sample size. 7 innings, 2 hits on the season, 2 walks, 5 Ks, no ERA, and a 0.57 whip for Walker. So Walker last season, he was an all-star in the first half of the season. And then the second half, he hit the wall because he was a guy coming off a Tommy John surgery the prior year, and a guy who didn't have a lot of innings under his belt in the last 3 or 4 seasons. But right now, he's looked sharp in the 2 outings. He's gone out there for this Met team and pitched well. And the pitching's definitely contagious so far in the early going for the Mets starting rotation, where these guys are going deep into games. They're not giving up many runs. And Walker's looked good, like I mentioned. April 11th at Philly, 2 innings before he left the game with injury. No hits, 4 Ks. And then his return, April 30th versus Philly, 5 innings, no decision in that one. 2 hits, 2 walks, and a K. So right here, he's definitely a guy that's going to stay in the rotation, is Walker. But once Jacob deGrom comes back, then it's either going to be Walker or possibly McGill getting out of the rotation. But until then, Walker's a guy we'll go out there and get. And like I mentioned, he was an all-star last season until he hit the wall or fatigued out. But right now, I will go get him. So that's a few pitches I look to add here for week 4 of the fantasy baseball season.